Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us once again for another Filmmaker interview. I'm your host, Sophia Lucia Parola, and we are in our 23rd year here at the Garden State Film Festival. We're back at Asbury Park, New Jersey and Cranford, New Jersey. We have an awesome lineup. You could check out all of the films, all the events, anything you could check out at this year's Garden State Film Festival, March 27th through March 30th, all at gsff.org. You can get your tickets right down there. One of the films I have the pleasure of interviewing this year is a short documentary called The Invisible Enemy. Here to talk with me is co-director, producer, and writer of the film, Mark Shapiro. Mark, how you doing?
Great. Thank you, Sophia, for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for taking the time out. Congratulations on making a short documentary, on all your successes, and for getting into Garden State Film Festival this year.
Thank you. It's a thrill. It's the second time I've attended with the film, and really excited to be there.
Oh, amazing. Okay, well, I'm really excited to hear about your festival experience and everything about how it feels to have it at Garden State Film Festival. But first, let's talk about the film. Tell our audiences, what is The Invisible Enemy about?
So, The Invisible Enemy is a short documentary film that details the lives of a group of servicemen who were stationed at the Nevada test site near Tonopah, Nevada. The TTR, it's called the Nevada Test and Training Range. And they were exposed to radiation during their time at the Nevada test site. And unfortunately, due to complications of radiation that they experienced on site, a lot of the servicemen have and women have come down with cancers and other illnesses known to be plausible from exposure to radiation. And our film sort of interviews Dave Crete, who's a sergeant and was a sergeant with the Air Force, and his role in trying to get government compensation for their time there and for the illnesses that they have experienced. And he's started a new organization called the Invisible Enemy, which basically they're trying to get funding. Even though they were exposed to radiation as part of Department of Defense, they're not eligible for health benefits because their service was deemed classified. Wow. And because it's classified, the government doesn't recognize them. And we're trying to get that changed.
Wow. That's tragic, and also like what a powerful film, because not only is it telling a huge powerful truth, but obviously going to make a difference and is really important. So how did this come to you, and how'd you get in contact with Dave Crete, and how did this all start?
So Dave Crete approached us at a screening of our documentary feature film Downwind, which is a 2023 doc that was an Oscar qualifying documentary that my partner Douglas Brian Miller and I co-directed. And at one of our Downwind screenings in Las Vegas, where Mr. Crete is based, he approached us and told us his story. And we thought that this was an incredibly valuable truth, as you mentioned, that needed to be explored. And so we, got together with Dave and took several trips down to Las Vegas, took a trip around the test site itself, and felt like it was a really important story to tell. And then we approached our executive producer, Matthew Modine and Adam Rakoff. They are incredible, obviously, as a producing team for us, and helped us, sort of with the navigation of the film itself. And we felt like this was a really important story to tell as a short and a proof of concept for a feature film that we're now working on.
Wow. So so Dave first approached you in 2023, and then how long did it take for you guys to kind of get everything together and start production? And then how long did this film take to make?
It's about a year process from when we met him to where we are now. And again, we're also gathering materials for the feature that I mentioned. But the short is so powerful that we cut it together to make sure that it is seen on the festival circuit. We just returned from Santa Fe Film Festival yesterday and won Best Short Documentary, which was awesome. And we felt like this is a really important story to tell.
Yeah. Congratulations on the recent win.
Thank you.
And yeah, so this is not the first time you've co-directed something, especially with your partner. So talk to me about what that co-direction looks like, especially when it came to Invisible Enemy. How do you, successfully co-produce with someone else? And how do you even direct a documentary?
That's a really good question. So Doug and I are actually based in two places too. He's in Los Angeles. I'm up in Portland, and wow, that also adds challenges. But we've worked together for over 20 years and understand the cadence of our relationship. And we spent a lot of time in LA where we do a lot of editing, and obviously a lot of time on the phone because of what we all went through in 2020 through 2024. We basically learned how to edit and everything remotely, which we've done. But obviously, when we're interviewing our subjects, we have to go and meet on site. But it's a challenging process, getting your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and making sure
Mhm.
that the story is told in the right way. So there's a lot of research, a lot of interaction together to make sure that we're telling the story correctly.
Yeah. Wow, and, so that's great you guys know each other working together that long. Obviously, you would have a very good rapport and kinda, I'm sure, just
Yes. Yeah.
finish each other's sentences and know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So a good partnership
Yeah.
is basically what it
It's an
takes to
excellent
pull off.
partnership, and actually, sort of, I take over the production duties for the most part, and he is head of uh, basically the visual side of it, director of photography.
Ah.
So we lean on our strengths, and
Mhm.
I'm tenacious when it comes to getting interviews and making sure we're hitting timelines, deadlines, things like that. Doug is the visual side of it, and we learn, like I said, to kind of lean in on what we know and help each other in both areas too. And we, like you said, we finish each other's sentences, and that helps with our editing and time that we have to spend in the editing suite so that we can get the story knocked out in the right way.
Do you guys edit this yourself?
Yeah,
Your
we did.
films?
We
And you
we also
edited The Invisible Enemy?
Yeah, we did Downwind and Invisible
Wow.
Enemy. We have some editing partners and producers that we work with, and Adam Rakoff has been extremely helpful, as has Matthew Modine. They're Cinco de los Películas, the organization that they've founded together, and as producers, they've also helped us along the way. It's a lot of a skeleton crew, really. We did editing, shooting. We have all the equipment. We have direction. We have people helping us with sound and some audio things, and other little things like that. But for the most part, this is we're all wearing multiple hats.
Yeah. Wow. And I wanna talk about, like, your hat specifically too, because you said you're more of the producing deadlines, getting the interviews together, which is such, the huge part of documentaries. What was it like getting the interviews and knowing who to talk to and kind of producing The Invisible Enemy?
Well, we sort of took a page from Downwind, our documentary, where we wanted to go to the critical voices of this topic. In particular, the fact that the government, sort of turns an eye on Department of Defense employees, even
Mhm.
though Department of Energy employees are covered with health benefits, Department of Defense are not. So we wanted to make sure that we connected with the right individuals. And I mentioned Dave Crete, and Dave opened doors for us to speak to others, to get to help make sure that we get the right people, that we're speaking to the right individuals. And we had a list of a list of names of people we wanted to talk to, probably 50 to 100 people, and narrowed it down to the critical folks that needed to be on camera for this. And so it's a lot of, just like with Downwind, we had Martin Sheen and Michael Douglas and members of the Downwinder community, the people that were impacted by nuclear um, detonations in Nevada, the 928 nuclear tests that were done in Nevada. So we wanted to make sure that we had the experts speaking on the topic, and that's why we went to the not only the Hollywood celebrities, but people in the downwind community. And in this case,
Mm.
we wanted to make sure that we're speaking to people in the Department of Defense or others that served at the test site, and make sure that their stories are told. We let our cameras roll and our subjects do the talking.
Mm, yeah, and one of the things I love asking, documentary filmmakers specifically, because I don't know if you always envision what the film's gonna look like or the timeline's gonna look like the beforehand and while you're interviewing, because it's so much of it depends, right, on what these stories are, what people say, and like you said, what the camera captures. So when did you guys kind of know The Invisible Enemy was done? Was that in the editing room? And, like, how did you know what this film was gonna be?
I think every filmmaker, when they're asked that question, their film is never done. It's like
Mm,
when you're releasing your child into the universe. It's a challenging part to know when your film is ready, when it's done. In this case, we felt like we had the right components in place and the right interviews in place. The editing, we want, you can always shoot more. We can always add um, different moments, but we felt like it was a strong. The timing was perfect. The interviews were strong. We had a lot of the backgrounds that we wanted, a lot of B-roll, things like that. But it's a good question. How do we know when the film is ready to be released, to get it into the world? And that we probably, I watched it over the weekend and noticed, things that I'd like to add or change, but I think what we found in this film, and we had shown it to other folks, including our EPs and a small crew of people, to get a feel for what the where the film is. It's a really emotionally driven film that's telling a truth, and an inspirational film. Those are the
Mhm.
things we really wanted to get across. We didn't want to doctor it up too much. We wanted it to speak a truth. And the other thing that's really critical in this timing, what we're all going through politically, I know where I stand politically. It may be different than someone else, but this is an American story that's about a truth and not about Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians. This is a story about truth and about
Mhm.
a need that people are recognized with insurance
Yeah.
and benefits to cover what they've gone through. It was an interesting world that learning about the military world, which is complicated. Dave Crete helped us navigate that world, and also the Democrat Republican world. We shot this film pre-election, and my I voted differently than our subjects in our film, but I love them dearly, and I respect them, and they respect us for our
Mhm.
opinions. I may be a Democrat going into a red area, but everybody in the film, the people that we interviewed, just wanted the story to get out there, and
Mhm.
that was what was important to us. And I think it's really important in this world of where we are right now, obviously, where we're so incredibly divided. It was important for us, for this story, to talk about an American story, an American truth, and that goes far above any kind of political affiliation.
Mhm.
So I just think it's important. Again, this truth was critical, and wherever you voted, however you voted, it didn't, to us, the most important thing was getting the truth out there. And every one of
Yeah.
these folks that we talked to in the military, um, you know, like, regardless of political affiliation, knew that something needed to get done and
Yeah.
accomplished.
Absolutely. I could feel it just talking to you and obviously watching this film, you could feel the importance. And like you said, it's a truth, so these stories need to be told. And we already touched on it multiple times. You already touched on it, why this story needs to be told, what your hopes are, what your intentions. But just again, like, what are you hoping audiences at Garden State Film Festival or anyone watching The Invisible Enemy, what are your hopes for this film, for this truth getting out? What are the next steps? I know you guys are looking for funding to get a feature film out of this, but like, what are the hopes for it being seen at Garden State Film Festival?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's our hope is that it raises awareness about something I don't think people are aware of. And I hope that people, when they come away from watching this film, are inspired to action. To go to the Invisible Enemy website to see what they can do to help with their foundation, with the care, with you know these guys are dying almost monthly. Dave Creek
Wow.
keeps a list of names of people that have died, and without any kind of government assistance or compensation, their families are suffering and they're struggling, and we want people to help support what's going on, with them, and funding or any kind of help that they can give to the Invisible Enemy is a takeaway that we hope everyone will have. I know that right now we're in a really challenging time with governmental cuts across the board, and where are we going to get financing, but this goes beyond any kind of governmental cut. It's something that needs, we're, like I said, the Department of Defense, the people that served our country honorably.
Yeah.
This is something I really, when you say the words "thank you for your service," this is a great example of these people served, but because they were classified, there's no record of them being there, and
Mhm.
so you can say thank you to for your service, but they're not even being recognized, and in their eyes, it didn't. In the government's eyes, it never happened. They were never there. Well, they have records, and they have families, and they have kids, that are born with complications, and we want to make sure that this right is turned. And I think I'm hoping that people will come away with the idea that they can support the Invisible Enemy and other causes to support, especially military
Yeah.
veterans.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's so touching, and I'm just very, very happy that I was able to interview you, that you guys were able to make Invisible Enemy. Can we just reiterate, like, what is that website too that people can go on, theinvisiblenemy.org or .com?
Yes.
Yeah.
Invisiblenemy.org. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
You can also get information on our website, which is backlotdocs.com. We're at Backlot Docs on Instagram, where people can get more information. And like I said, this short is a powerful short, but the feature that we're shooting to is going to come from this, and we've gotten incredible feedback, and we're ready to share it with the world, and we are so incredibly thrilled to be at Garden State. I love the festival. Like I said, I've experienced it as a filmmaker, and I'm really excited for people in New Jersey and others to see this film. And we're here, and we'd love to return comments. If people have questions, they can go to our website.
Thank you so much, Mark. And I'm so honored that Garden State Film Festival gets to have The Invisible Enemy screening this year. I know it's an amazing film block. This isn't the first. I know there's another doc that I had the pleasure of interviewing that Matthew Modine was also an executive producer on, that is also really impactful and important. So
Yep.
it's just so amazing to have such important films that are meant to make a difference, you know, and not just to raise awareness at Garden State Film Festival and in the world. So thank you, Mark, again. Thank you to everyone involved. Congratulations on your acceptance to Garden State Film Festival. And let me tell everybody how you can see it. It will be screening at the Asbury Hotel Sunday, March 30th. The film block is 11:30 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. Definitely go on gsff.org to get your tickets. Visit theinvisiblenemy.org and backlotdocs.com, backlocks on Instagram. Rewind to get everything that Mark said. Thank you again. Congratulations, and I really hope to see you at Garden State Film Festival.
Thank you, Sophia. Just thrilled to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you. Have a good one, Mark, and see you guys at the festival. Bye.
You too. Thanks.